Welcome to the Magellan Network Show, episode 360. And this episode, I'm going to dedicate to every new advisor. So, advisor who's thinking about coming into business, coming in our game, maybe just got in the game, been around for maybe less than a year. This episode is for you. So, if you're a seasoned advisor and you've been watching or listening to me for a very, very long time, forward this episode to somebody that is either considering the business or just getting started, and let's help them because we need the next gen. So, for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Coach Joe Lukacs, and for 32 years, actually 32 years and change now, I have done nothing but coach financial advisors. I was one of the pioneers of advisor coaching. And 32 and a half years later, I'm still going really strong. Love what I do, passionate about it. And so I want to share some wisdom with some, hopefully some maybe younger people and maybe some second career people today. So why don't we get started? So first off, if you're thinking about it, let me give you the case of why becoming an advisor is a wonderful place. And I mean wonderful from I don't care if you're going to be a W-2 and work, work in an organization, or you're going to go off and do your own thing, or join a firm and have more of a split type scenario where you kind of, eat what you kill. It doesn't matter. Whatever's going to work for you, right? And I think that's the real key thing. Um, there are a lot of advisors who are really good technicians, really good financial planners, right? It doesn't mean you'll be a great entrepreneur, and that's okay, right? There's a place for you in this game that still will give you a lot of economics, a lot of freedom, flexibility, and really having meaningful impact to a person, to a couple, to a family. So one of my core beliefs I've had for decades is an advisor is part of the troika in a person's life. Now, who's in the troika? Who's in the troika? It's going to be their spiritual advisor, it's going to be their health advisor, and it's going to be their financial advisor. It's going to be part of the pyramid. Okay. That's how important I believe this is. Now, what you have to decide, and I don't care if you're coming out of this out of college with a CFP track, or you're coming in on a second career, or you went to college for something and decided that was not what you want to do, or maybe mom and dad say, hey, come join the family practice. However you got here, you have to make a decision on what type of advisor you're going to be. And here's what I mean by that. It's a spectrum. Okay. On this side are the people that are looking for a job. So what they want to know is how, in this way I frame it, how much can I get paid and how little can I do, right? And there are organizations, believe it or not, where you can get those gigs, right? And it's fine, but understand, then that's who you are in the moment. Now, could you change it over time in your career? Could you want more? Yes, and I hope so. But if you're coming in this thing for just, hey, sound like something good to do, it's an air conditioning, da da da, and I just want to make some money and do a good job, and that's all. And I want to be done at 5 o'clock, and I want my 2 or 3 weeks vacation, and I'm not going to think about it when I'm not there. Look, there'll be a place for you in this game because I know that to be a fact. However, you are going to really shortchange yourself in the long run on opportunity. Okay, now moving to the middle of the spectrum, right? So we got the jobbers here, we've got the career people, and the career people are great because they're going to stay a little later. They're going to be interested in advancement. They're going to want to go ahead and get advanced education, right? They're going to always be looking to better themselves because they look at it in terms of a career, right? And that's great. And the career people definitely, I mean, my experiences with my clients who hire, and by the way, I'm on the other side of this, where I'm talking to firm leaders who are looking to hire advisors. It's like, hey, look, here's our spectrum. We got the JOBers, and we got the career people, and then we got the third one, which are the stakeholders. And we call those future partners, fast track, right? Now, let's be realistic for a second. And again, I don't care how old you are. Um, I've had clients, reach out to me and said, "Hey, I just interviewed a person. They're just getting out of college and they want to talk about making partner." And they like, that's like, I think that's a little aggressive, stuff like that. And I'm always like, "Hey, You wanna hire people that wanna be a partner, right? That you know why? Because that means they're gonna be stakeholders. They're gonna come in early. They're gonna care. They're gonna stay late. They'll handle stuff on weekends. They're gonna operate and, they're gonna play this game as an owner even if they're not. They're gonna play this game as they have equity even if they're not yet. So there's your spectrum new advisor. Do you wanna just do the minimum? Do a little bit more than a minimum? Or do you wanna go and have a vision? And this is one of the things I would say, and the reason why I'm do by the way, the reason why I'm doing this episode is while I was on my sabbatical, I had a literally a brand like, literally 2 weeks in the business, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and he said, "Can you give me some career advice?" And, that's like a very open-ended question, so we ended up kinda going back and forth with some messages. And I really thought about it, so I've never really done an episode, at least that I can think of, around this, and so that's why I'm saying that's why I'm doing this, this week. And so, you know, you just gotta decide where you wanna be, okay? And then be the best at that, okay? And if you want a job, then be the best at that job. If you want a career, then be the best at that. If your vision, this is what I'm saying, like, what you gotta think about, and the earlier you can think about this, and the earlier you can kinda get an idea or a concept around it, the better for your whole world is, where do you wanna be in 5 or 10 years? So one of the questions I always ask, so full disclosure, often I've got a client who's looking to hire, and I will be part of the hiring process. So I will actually have a Zoom interview with the candidate. And, I'm not an HR professional, so I kinda always will ask the questions why I wanna ask them, quite frankly, and I always tell people in advance on that. And one of the questions I absolutely ask every candidate that I've ever interviewed is, "Tell me where you wanna be in the next 5 or 10 years, or at least 5. Where do you wanna be in 5 years?" And if they're not clear on, like, their vision, "Well, I'd like to be on a pathway to partner," or this or that, like, there if the then how's leadership is supposed to help you if you don't know what you want, right? And so I will say this, and this is why I think this industry is so great. It gives you the 2 things that most human beings really, really want in life professionally. Again, on the stakeholder side, that I'm not I wanna talk about the stakeholder pathway, the pathway to partner, okay? It gives you time freedom and economic abundance, okay? Now, maybe not as much as an owner unless you're gonna start your own shop, and maybe, I had one person in an interview said to me, "Look, hey, I'm gonna do this for 5 years or so. I'm gonna work here, and then my goal is to start my own shop," and I appreciated their candor and stuff like that, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. We like entrepreneurs. We need entrepreneurs in this game. 100%, right? So decide what you want out of this, and you could change your mind over times. And here's the other thing I want to remind everybody of. This We're not airline pilots, okay? So this is not like, well, we better make sure, we got like a 10-year we're not professional athletes. We're business athletes. And the real cool thing about being a business athlete is you can have a 30, 40-year career, right? Now, I started my game at 29. I'll be 62 this year, okay? I plan to go to 80, not because I have to, because I love it so much, right? Like, I don't have even Father Time got Tom Brady. Even he had to call it. In our game, you can play well into your 70s, early 80s. I mean, I've got clients in their 70s and early 80s that I've had for 30 years. So that's the beauty of this game. Like, you can set a lot of you can s you expand, you can set a lot of rules in how you do things and do meaningful work and help people. Get back to my troika, right? Important stuff. Now, if you come in this game just to make a lot of money, I'm gonna tell you right now, you'll make a lot of money short term, but this is a relationship business. So you may think, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and do some product on some fronts and stuff like that," and I'm gonna look at people as a means to my end. And there are advisors out there like that. I run across them still to this day, who, when you really, really challenge them on what they think about their clients, they tolerate them because they make a lot of money. You'll get find out eventually, or you'll make a lot of money, be miserable. Your bank account will be good, but you're not gonna be happy. You know why? Because you don't love what you do. It's critically important. What advice can I give you guys? What is this game really about? I will tell you, If I had to put it in one succinct sentence, this is the ultimate people and personal development business, period. Now, why people? Because you have to learn how to coach, train, lead people, your clients, your team if you're going to have one day. Convert your prospects to clients. You got to learn how to influence, persuade. You got to become an amateur psychologist. Speaking of which, many of my clients, I've been very blessed and I don't say lucky that I've had clients long enough now that their kids are going off to college and actually have gone off to college and actually came into their businesses. And I'm always asked the question, "Hey, my son, my daughter, my kids going off to XYZ school. I'm going to have them study economics and finances, economics and finance." And I'm going, "Why? They're going to run a hedge fund. They're going to teach it." So, having an economics and finance degree is least helpful in this industry. You know what is most helpful? Psychology, entrepreneurial studies. Heck, I'd take accounting, right? That's useful. But finance economics, I've never seen in the last 20 years. I think there was a time when you had to manually look at stock charts and digest earnings reports. Maybe that would be a little helpful. But in today's world, with all the technology and AI coming down the road, it's like me. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to college for computer programming. It's like saying I'm going to go learn how to press vinyl records in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, why would you do that? So if you're thinking about school or coming out of school, and maybe you've done the economic finance thing, let me tell you right now, you better get a PhD in people. Because what I train, what I've learned, this is not in a vacuum here. I mean, I'm in the trenches. So the one thing about me as a coach, and I run a pretty decent sized firm. We're boutique, obviously, is that what I see now are young people coming into this game with great technicals. They're smart. Technology. You're on the cutting edge of AI. But put you in a room with a prospect, you don't know what to do with that because the people skills are lacking. And yes, I know that, hey, with all this automation coming, that one can make the argument, perhaps, that that won't matter in 5 or 10 years. I'm not sold on that thesis at all. Now, do I think there'll be more automation? Yeah. Do I think AI is going to take your job? No. Now, will there be AI financial advisors? Yes. I absolutely know that for a fact. So, I mean, if think about it now, if you can talk to Siri and Claude and chat and whatever else is out there, right? I mean, is it that complicated to create a financial planning program around that? No, it's being done as I record this in I guess May of 2026, and then so hopefully time will prove me right. Now, does that mean that you won't have a gig? No, because people still want to deal with people when things matter. Case in point, why do some people go to organized religion? Why not just get it on an app? Because people want that human touch. Why do people still go to doctors? They can just go to ChatGTP and let it be its doctor, right? Because people care about that, right? We're still tribal. Our DNA is still very tribal. It hasn't evolved that much. And here's my biggest case in point. The technology exists today. We don't need pilots in airplanes. The plane can fly itself. The military's proved that. And the pilots are expensive and they clock out. How many of you, if you were boarding an airplane in the next 24 hours and they said, hey, good news, you're the first one, we're going to have no pilots, it's going to be totally, automated. How excited are you going to be about getting on that flight? See, there are some things that people still want human beings involved with. Surgery. There are wonderful technology in surgery, Da Vinci robots, stuff like that. You still want a doctor when you wake up out of anesthesia telling you everything went well. So don't get caught up in this, is AI coming for my job? It's not. It's going to become your partner in your job. It's going to be a second chair to you, but it's not going to replace you. So don't get freaked out like, "Oh my god," like, we're not computer programmers, okay? What else is important? So again, the ultimate personal development and people business. So people skills, psychology, sales training, influence training, communication training, persuasion training, Dale Carnegie public speaking, all those things really, really important. Okay. Now, developing yourself. There are two tracks to develop yourself as a young advisor. Okay. I'm going to talk about the technical track, which is what everybody focuses on. And I'm going to talk about the success track, which very few people focus on until much later, and they lose 5 to 10 years. So let's not do that today. All right. So the technical track is going to be your credentialing, your product knowledge, your compliance awareness, your technical acumen, all those things, which you will develop to the day you until the day you quit. You're going to always be developing that. Okay. It's not like, oh, I got my CFP and I'm good and I check a box, I'm done. No, you got to do C credits. And that's a good thing because the game evolves. So we want that. We want that situation, that opportunity, right? We really, really do. Nothing wrong with that. Conversely, on the success track, goal setting for yourself, time management, self-management, people skills, psychology, overcoming failure, overcoming rejection, like understanding, energy management, your physical, mental, emotional energy, how to deal with setbacks, how to run a business if you're going to run a business, how to be an entrepreneur. That's why I said, if you're listening to me and you've got maybe a child or a family member who's thinking about getting in this game, that are getting ready to go off to college, psychology and entrepreneurial studies, 1A, 1B, best things you could do, right? Now, when I say that, obviously, if you're going to a school with a CFP track, well, that's gonna be the primary piece, right? But if you're looking for, other, secondaries, those 2 by far. And if you only do one, then I would do psychology over entrepreneurial studies. The sooner you become expert in people, the faster you become successful in this business, okay? Understanding human beings, how they decide things, how we interpret things, how we like our information, all those things. Really, really, really important, okay? Just flat out are. So on the success side, you're always going to be in something, whether you're reading a book, listening to something, a podcast, a course. I will say this right now, and it's going to be self-serving, and I get that. It doesn't have to be my program. I truly believe every advisor needs a coach to reach their full potential. Just absolutely believe that. Okay. And I'm going to give you a case study real quick. Okay. So one of my clients, and I won't get into his name, I don't have his permission, but let's just put it this way. He has been a client of mine he's client number 3, 32 years. He is in the top 50 of a major independent firm, and I mean, runs, almost almost an 8-figure firm revenue. And a couple of years ago, he was asked, and he told me this. He goes, "Bob, like, why do you have like, you're so successful, like, why do you have a coach? Like, it makes no sense, right?" And people ask the question, by the way, the people that are struggling, which is interesting. And I never forget what Bob said. He says, "Look, 'cause I wanna be the best. I wanna have the edge. I wanna hear what other top people are doing." And then he goes into the whole sports piece, right? Like, every professional athlete has, not a posse, hopefully, but some do, but, a team, right? So if you're like an athlete, you'll have a nutritionist, you'll have a strength person, you'll have a flexibility person, you'll have a sports psychologist, right? I mean, you'll have a cook, you'll have a team or a body worker. You have this team where you'll invest in your body and your mind because that's where you make your living. Well, advising is no different. You need to surround yourself with the right people so that you can be the best version. Now, again, if you're just in the JOB side, right? Remember the JOB career and the stakeholders? Well, the JOBers, you don't need to do this, right? But if you want to be a stakeholder and you want to have not just a career, but really create over the next 10, 20, 30 years generational wealth for you and your family, then you need to get a coach. Again, whether it's me or Carson Coaching or ClientWise or Oxley, I mean, there's plenty of firms out there. And I'm the first one to tell you that I am not for everyone. Okay. My philosophy is not for everyone. All right. We have a very different approach here, how we do things. But you got to develop yourself to that point that when I talk to advisors, like if I'm on stage or I'm doing a webinar or a Zoom meeting with a group, I'll say to them flat out, hey, you've got to take at least 5% of your top line revenue and invest it back into you, pure coaching, total 10%. The other 5% would be like for the nutritionist, the personal trainer, like, going to conferences and things like that, right? So let's figure 10% total, but 5% purely on personal coaching for yourself, right? So think about it. If you're doing, your $100,000 a year, that's $5,000. That can get you, at least in our world, that gets you in one of our programs, right? If you're doing $1 million, 50K, that you can do some things. You can hire some really good coaches for that, and so on and so on. I've operated personally on this philosophy for decades. And what's really cool about it is that as your income goes up, your budget goes up, and your access to even higher level experts goes up, and you get access now. You can join the best. When you have a 50 to 75 to $100,000 coaching budget, you can hire the best personal coach, attend the best mastermind groups, right? Go to stuff that Tony Robbins weekends and other stuff that's 10, 20, $30,000. You can go have an experience and really work on yourself. And that's powerful. So that's critically important. Most young advisors, um, put that off. And it's not till like maybe year 10 they start thinking about it. And it just it just slows everything down. So from day one, invest in yourself. Make sure you get comfortable in. I'm not going to cover it today because this episode's already kind of getting long here. But you can look at our podcast YouTube channel. There are episodes on it. Learn how to talk about referrals and introductions to your clients. Learn to construct a powerful morning ritual. Learn to embrace failure. Learn that being uncomfortable is okay. And I say this with respect. You don't get any participation trophies here. You just don't. That's why I like coaching advisors, because numbers never lie. They just don't. That's what makes it cool. So if you're a young person thinking about coming into this business, I'm always here to help. If you're just got into business, heed these words. If you're an advisor who knows somebody's just getting business, forward this episode to them. Let me give them some career advice. We need more young people in this business. We need more people, period. Our advisor force is aging out. We need help. And this is a great gig. It's not like it was 20 years ago. I've watched it evolve. It's a beautiful place. Do some real good and really do well personally yourself, for you and your family. Okay? So thank you all for listening and watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. You can find me online at Coach Joe, coachjoe.guru, Guru, or MagellanNetwork.net. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on our socials, and I will see you all again next week.